There are some of you who are going through patches in your marriages. It does not mean to run and start a new one. Accept that you made a mistake. One of the key things is to accept, I made the wrong decisions myself. God, I am responsible for what I am going through. Until you accept and you own up to your mess, you can't correct it. You won't pray the right way because all fingers will be pointing that way. But you don't forget all the four are pointing at you. Nobody made a choice for whoever you chose to be to spend the rest of your life with, true or not. Those of you who are already married, you are bound for eternity. Why am I not hearing amen? You are bound for what? You have no alternative. The only alternative is to endure discipline like a good soldier. Come out of the fire refined as silver and gold. You will be refined. Why? This is the key thing you need to understand, which talks about God's discipline. This is a phrase I wanted you to know. God begins his book. This is how marriage is important. God begins this book. God begins his book with a wedding, isn't it? With a wedding in the Garden of Eden, isn't it? God begins this book with a wedding. And you already know where I'm going. And he ends it with what? With one. There will be a banquet. Are we not waiting for Jesus to wed us? I don't hear you. He began with a wedding in Genesis. Revelation concludes with the wedding of the Lamb, isn't it? The first miracle Jesus performed was at the wedding of Cana in Galilee, isn't it? God begins his ministry with a wedding, and the revelation concludes with a wedding. Marriage is important to God. God does not, he never instituted marriage, he never implemented marriage before he actually put an ideal place for where marriage must thrive. Marriage thrives in the presence of the Lord. Anything in life that is outside of the presence of God brings struggle. Look at Genesis. Genesis chapter 3. After man had sinned against God, what happened? The Bible tells me in chapter 3, he was cast out of the presence of God. Now, whenever you lose your place of placement, it will trigger trouble. The primary responsibility of every believer and every believer or preacher is not to preach, is to cultivate the presence of God. The primary goal for every child of God, irregardless where you are, one of the most important things, even when you travel to leave this nation to another nation, the first thing you must seek is a living church. Anything outside the prescribed, designated place of God, it is subject and susceptible to attack. Marriages are under attack because the primary or the bedrock for strong marriages has been neglected. The cultivation and the pursuit of the presence of God. Let me warn those who are not yet married. If you make a mistake and you listen to truth you have heard and you refuse to obey, you will make a mistake. You hear me? And God will discipline you because he loves you. You will learn by discipline. Discipline, learning by way of discipline is very painful. Ask some of us who have been there. So God allows the pain and the circumstances that will correct foolishness and eliminate foolishness from